What's going on, guys? I'm SimpleSimon, and today's video I'm going to be talking about my comic book hit list for 2024, and I'm also going to recap how I went with last year's hit list. So stick around to find out the 6 books that I'm after in 2024. Just a quick shout out to my minions. Your support is greatly appreciated. Channel membership is now available. To find out more, hit the join button to find out about perks and exclusive videos and content. But always remember, your membership is not required. The best way to support the channel is by liking and commenting on all the videos. Let's do this. I don't know if you guys can see me sweating, but it's a really hot day today. Anyway, first I thought I'd recap the 6 books from last year. I cannot believe it, but I actually managed to get all 6 books last year. It's never happened before. I mean, last year was kind of the first time I'd ever done, I guess, hit list, wish list, whatever you want to call it. And I gotta say, I couldn't have done it without the community, and you'll know what I mean when I show you the books. So in no particular order, one of the books I wanted last year was the first appearance of The Predator. Which I ended up getting. This was an eBay purchase. I can't remember what I paid for this, but I got a really good price on it. So first Predator, super stoked that I got that. And then of course the other book I really wanted last year was the first appearance of Aliens, the Xenomorphs. I've just been massive on Aliens and Predator in the last year and a half, and I really wanted to get these books last year. Both this and the Predator book, some people flog it off for a really high price, and then there's others who are a little more realistic and they sell it for a reasonable price. So I maybe paid a bit over $100, I think, maybe for this, maybe less, I can't remember. But I'm really stoked that I got the first Aliens book in the collection. Now the next 3 books were all AOKs from the community, so big shout out to Stone Cold Steve Whiting and the gang. I was blown away, and if you haven't seen that video and you like reactions, well, I gave a pretty good reaction in that one. Oh, what the fuck, man! I am so sweaty right now. First of the 3 books that they sent me, I've been after this book since it came out, and obviously in the beginning it was crazy FOMO prices, and now it's started to drop, but I didn't even need to worry about it because I did try to bid on it a few times. It is the first full appearance, of Punchline. I'd put quite a few bids on it on eBay auctions, but just never got it at the price I wanted. But then the boys banded together and got me a copy, so shout out again to the comic book community. Next one was a Bondage Grail that I've been wanting for quite some time, and again, when I made the video last year, I had actually purchased this on eBay, and for the first time ever, I bought a book, and then 2 days later, I got a message from the seller saying, "You've been refunded," and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally sold the book." Okay, but the guys got me a really nice copy of this. This is Wonder Woman 200? Yep, 200. It's just a classic bondage cover. The Beauty Hater. That was one I was after for quite some time. So yeah, super stoked that I got that one once again from Steve Whiting. I don't want to leave any names out. Puff Comics, Cantonese Comic Kid, Bronze Age Brian, G-Man, and I think Super Us. And this next book was probably the one I wanted most out of the books I chose last year. It's quite an expensive book. For the right price, I would have, pulled the trigger and bought it, and I attempted many a times, but just never won those auctions. But this was the book that started that whole AOK. And Steve Whiting reached out and said, "I'm gonna get you." But yeah, it's just a classic Dave Stevens cover. It escaped me so many times on eBay options, I started to think I'm never gonna get it because prices for this book go for quite a lot. I think there's one local seller here in Australia selling it. I think it was $400 off the top of my head. The last book that I picked up from last year, in fact, I purchased it on New Year's Day this year. I'm still gonna count it because I got the book, but this was on my list. And I did buy it myself. This is Batman issue 368. Just a minor key, this was the first appearance of Jason Todd as Robin. So I really want to get that in the collection. So yeah, I was actually shocked that I was able to get all 6 books last year. Again, I couldn't have done it without Steve and the community. Before I tell you the list from this year, obviously just remember, these are books that are believable. Obviously there's books I want that I just don't believe I will ever get. Batman Adventures 12, First Harlequin. I'm willing to pay about $400 for that book, but that's about my limit. Also, Something's Killing the Children issue 5 is a book that will be on my hit list forever. Again, prices on that book is just so stupid, and even though they come down a little bit, it's still just outside of what I want to spend on a comic book. So these 6 books are books that I feel like are attainable. The first one is another Jason Todd minor key. It's Batman 408. Now the cover actually says Batman The New Adventures, so I'm gonna guess that's just Batman, but I don't know, is Batman The New Adventures a different series? I'm not too sure. But I believe it's an origin story of Jason Todd, famous cover where he's stealing the wheel off the car and Batman's busting him. I'm trying to get some of my Jason Todd keys, you know? So that is the first book on the list. I don't think that book is too expensive. In Australia, you might go for $40, $50, but I think in the US, I might be able to get more for about the $20, $30 mark. It's Australian dollars I'm talking about, and get it sent to Bubs. Just one more, Bub, just one more. Now the next one is a 1:25 ratio cover. Now I didn't want to put any exclusives on this list, because obviously here in Australia, we don't get exclusives, and over in America, you get all the exclusives. It's rare to come by them in Australia, but I did want to put this ratio cover on there because it's a book that I've been wanting since they came out. It's Robin issue 1, the 1:25. I believe it's called the Federici variant. I think Federici, whatever, is the artist. He did a whole series of ratio covers for the month, and they were just like sketch variants of just like the character's face. But the one I really want is Robin issue 1, which is a cover of Flatline. Flatline was a new character, and I just thought she was a super cool character. So now it wouldn't be a Simple Simon list without some cover buys. I got my Dave Stevens Grail, which is the Planet Comics book I showed you before. But another one that I really want to get is the Sheena 3D cover done by Dave Stevens. For those who know me, they know the story. Sheena was my first crush, played by Tanya Roberts in the movie. It's bad then, hopefully you didn't see that. I've got the Jungle Comics Dave Stevens cover, but I do want that Sheena 3D. There's actually another Dave Stevens Sheena book that I really want, but I think it's more like a magazine, but that one's a little bit more out of my price range probably, but I think Sheena 3D is definitely one that's obtainable. The next one is an Adam Hughes cover buy, and it's also a Star Wars guidebook. It's classic Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, classic Slave Leia cover. It's not actually the best cover. It's not Adam Hughes' best work, but it's Adam Hughes, it's Star Wars, it's Slave Leia. Ticks all those boxes, so that's one I've been eyeing on for a while. Again, I've never seen it out in the wild here, but again, most of these I'm probably gonna most likely get on eBay, because as fun as it is finding them in the wild out here, they're so much cheaper in America. Now the next one's an interesting one. The next one is one of my childhood heroes. I've got two people I would say were my biggest heroes growing up, and there were many, but I'd say the two that I love the most were Rocky Balboa and John Rambo. I want to get the first Rambo comic book. Now, it's a bit of a tricky one because his first appearance, I believe, was in a comic called Rambo 3. Kind of random, right? And I'm assuming it was a movie adaptation of Rambo 3, the movie. But then there was a Rambo solo title, just called Rambo. I'm actually happy with either one. In some ways I would like the first appearance, but I also kind of prefer that just standard Rambo book. I think it's a great cover. Yeah, so I'm kind of torn with this one. I might end up with both books maybe, but I kind of would be happy with one or the other. So a bit of a cheap one. I might put both of them count as one book. One or the other I'd be happy with. Who knows, if I get lucky maybe I'll get both. And then the last book, most of these books are books that I'm hoping to pick up for under $100. In fact, most of them in America, I could probably get for under $50. So I wanted to put a book on here that was a little bit more in the higher price, but a little bit more of a grail, I guess. Because this book is a book that I kind of gave up on in the last couple of years because I just thought prices just kept going up. But I recently looked it up, and sometimes you can get lucky, like all books, right? But it's the first appearance of Jason Todd. Batman 357. They recently did a facsimile in foil, and I'm actually spewing I didn't buy that. But stuff facsimiles, I want to get the real deal. The other night I actually found someone selling it in the US, and it was like around 150 or less, 140, 150. I would pay that for the first Jason Todd. The next cheapest price was about 240, 250 upwards. That's something I would try to avoid doing. I've said many times, anything over $200 is just very rich for me to spend on just one comic book. I feel like the first Jason Todd has become kind of like one of those books where sometimes you can get lucky. So I'm hoping I get lucky and able to find a first Jason Todd. That is my list for 2024. What are some of the books on your hit list for this year? And let me know how sweaty I looked in this video. And don't forget to give this video a like, leave a comment. And until next time, I'm Simple Simon. Tell your friends and keep it simple.